I know people think rich marriages are all spa days, matcha breakfasts, and soft focus Instagram reels where everyone glows like they've never cried in a parking lot. But that's all PR. Money doesn't make problems disappear, it just gives them nicer houses. And sometimes those houses echo. Mine definitely did. Maybe that's why, when my husband disappeared for what he called a corporate strategy retreat, I didn't argue. I was tired, mentally and emotionally, and he looked like a man already halfway out the door. I didn't want to chase someone who clearly didn't want to be caught. But then he came back, and the way he walked into our penthouse, sun-kissed and smiling like he'd been living inside a damn cologne commercial, lit a fuse inside me I didn't even know was still connected. Because while he was gone, I found something. Something that changed everything. Something he didn't know I knew. So here's how part 1 begins. With me smoothing down my silk robe, sipping iced coffee that tasted like nothing, and pretending I didn't hear the elevator ding at the private access entrance. The penthouse smelled like eucalyptus and lemon. My housekeeper, Carmen, always cleaned like the president was about to visit. And for a moment, the whole place felt too large, too glossy, too staged, like we didn't live here. Like nothing real ever happened within these marble walls. But real life was about to crash through the front door. "Honey, I'm home," Daniel called out, voice dripping with that fake cheerfulness he used whenever he wanted something. He strolled into the kitchen wearing a tan linen shirt, unbuttoned enough to show he'd been at the gym, or at least trying to look like it, and sunglasses still on like he was some A-list actor returning from Cannes. The man had nerve. I didn't respond immediately. Let him sweat, even if only for a few seconds. Instead, I took another sip of my coffee, swallowed the bitterness, and mentally rehearsed the question that would eventually gut him like a fish. "Babe?" He stepped inside the kitchen, pulling his sunglasses off. His eyes were bright, relaxed, too relaxed. "I look surprised," I said. "Why wouldn't I be?" He laughed, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I moved slightly. Not enough to be obvious, but enough for him to feel it. His smile flickered, a tiny glitch in the Daniel's so perfect persona. This is where context matters. See, Daniel and I, we used to be that couple. You know, the annoyingly perfect duo everyone either wanted to be or wanted to hate. I was the stylish, polished wife with the high-profile interior design business. He was the tech executive with a 6-figure wardrobe and a 7-figure attitude problem. Together, we were the power couple people assumed had no issues. But the cracks started small. Late-night texts he'd hide, sudden urgent work trips, a perfume scent on his jacket that definitely wasn't mine. When I confronted him, he'd throw his hands up, swearing he was just stressed or being dramatic or paranoid because of TikTok true crime. Classic gaslighting with the side of upper-class smugness. So when he told me he had to go on a retreat, last minute, all male, total phone blackout, I played along. That's my secret weapon. I don't explode. I collect information. Slowly, quietly, precisely. So while he was off somewhere pretending to be strategic and visionary, I found the email. I wasn't snooping. The universe just opened a door. Literally. His MacBook pinged while I walked past it. A preview of the email popped up on the corner of the screen. Itinerary details from a 5-star luxury escape resort in Aspen. Spa packages for 2, champagne welcome for 2, couples aromatherapy villa for 2. I froze. Then I clicked, and what I saw made my blood go cold. Her name. Not someone I knew, not even someone I'd heard him mention. Sierra. That was it. No last name, just Sierra. Like she was some kind of minimalist, sexy mystery woman who didn't need full identification because apparently my husband knew exactly who she was. The email sounded intimate,
too intimate for a man who insisted he was going on a corporate retreat. So before he even boarded his flight, I already knew he was lying. But I didn't confront him. Nope. I did what any strategic, push-too-far wife would do. I hired someone. His name was Finn Hollister, ex-cop, now private investigator, and possibly the only man in the city who wasn't intimidated by my husband's money or reputation. He was blunt, annoyingly perceptive, and not cheap. But hiring him was the best decision I'd made in years. Within hours, Finn confirmed that Daniel didn't go to any corporate retreat. The plane ticket was real, but the destination wasn't. Instead of flying to Atlanta like he claimed, he boarded a private charter headed to Aspen with a companion, a woman, Sierra. And she wasn't just some fling. She was part of something bigger, something messy, something expensive, something dangerous. Finn told me to prepare myself for what he was about to send, and when the photos arrived, my entire world tilted. Daniel at the resort, Daniel at the pool, Daniel at dinner, Daniel kissing her. Not a peck, not something accidental, a full, slow, chest-to-stomach electric kind of kiss, the kind he hadn't given me in years. And then the worst photo of all, the two of them entering the same villa, holding hands, laughing, intimate in a way that my heart cracked like thin glass. I studied those photos for hours, not because I was hurt, though I was, but because I needed to understand the pattern, the dynamic, the power. This wasn't some random affair born out of boredom. No, this felt orchestrated, like he wasn't the one in control, like he was being led, manipulated, maybe even blackmailed. Daniel was an awful husband, yes, but he wasn't stupid. He wouldn't risk his career or reputation unless someone had leverage over him, or unless he thought he was gaining something bigger. So while he was gone, I didn't sit around crying. I built a plan. A very expensive, very detailed, very devastating plan. A plan that started the moment he walked back in the door. And now he was here, smiling like his world wasn't about to shatter. He leaned against the counter, running his thumb along the edge like he always did when he was nervous. "You good?" he asked, casually. "You look different." "Do I?" I smiled. "Maybe I just needed a break from the drama." "What drama?" He laughed, but his voice cracked just slightly. "Exactly," I said. He blinked at me, confused, then shrugged it off. "Anyway," he said, opening the fridge, "you won't believe the week I had. Insane. Exhausting, non-stop meetings. I barely slept, I swear. Babe, this retreat was— Daniel," I said, calmly, cutting him off. "Before you keep lying, answer one thing for me." His back stiffened. Slowly, he closed the fridge. He didn't turn around. "What thing?" he asked, voice suddenly smaller. I walked toward him until I could see the tension in his neck. "Your trip," I said softly. "Did you enjoy Aspen?" He froze, like a statue, like someone had hit pause on his entire nervous system. And right then I knew he'd been caught long before he even faced me. He turned around slowly, eyes wide, his face drained of color so quickly it was almost impressive. "What did you just say?" he stammered. "Aspen," I repeated, leaning on the counter like I was discussing grocery lists. "How was it?" His lips parted, closed, opened again. No sound came out. He looked like a man whose soul just stepped off a cliff. What do you— Daniel," I said gently, "don't insult my intelligence. Not today." For a moment he looked like he might deny everything, lie, deflect, pretend. But the panic in his eyes told me everything. He knew I knew, completely. And he had absolutely no idea how much more I'd uncovered. He swallowed hard. "This isn't what you think." "Good," I said softly. Because what I think is that you went on a luxury couple's escape with a woman named Sierra. What I think is that you kissed her, slept with her, vacationed with her, lied to me, lied to everyone. And what I think, and I added, stepping closer, lowering my voice, is that you should start telling the truth if you want even the smallest chance of surviving what's coming next. His breath hitched. What's coming next? I smiled, slowly, deliberately. Consequences, Daniel. He stepped back like I'd slapped him. Listen, I can explain. I actually don't want your explanation. Not yet, because I already know more than you think. About her, about you, about why you were really there. His face went white, then gray. How much do you know? He whispered. Enough to destroy you. But don't worry. This is just...
Daniel didn't speak for a full 30 seconds after I asked the question. 30 seconds. In human time, that's nothing. In marriage time, the real kind. The kind built on routines, lies, and the quiet agreements couples make just to function, it's an eternity. His eyes darted everywhere except my face, the marble floor, the faucet, the window overlooking downtown LA, like he was hoping for some escape route to magically appear. Classic Daniel, run first, deal never. I leaned back against the counter, crossing my arms, watching him unravel. It would have been sad if it wasn't so damn predictable. I don't know what you think you know, he finally muttered. His voice sounded different, not defensive, afraid. And Daniel didn't scare easy, not unless something or someone had their hand around his throat. Cute, I said, but we both know you're not that creative, so let's skip the 90 minutes of gaslighting and jump straight into the truth portion of tonight's show. His jaw clenched. There is no... Daniel, I said, tilting my head. I've already met Sierra. His mouth snapped shut, just like that, like someone pressed an off switch on his entire nervous system. Color drained from his face, then rushed back in blotchy patches. No, you didn't. Oh, I did, I said, pushing off the counter and walking slowly toward him. While you were sipping champagne in Aspen, she was sitting across from me in a hotel lounge in Beverly Hills, looking like the kind of woman who could pull a country apart if she felt like it. Jesus, he breathed, dragging a hand over his face. You shouldn't have talked to her. Why? I asked. Because she knows the truth? His eye snapped up. Because she's dangerous. So am I said. His shoulders slumped as if those 3 words defeated him. But the truth? Daniel was already defeated. He just didn't know it yet. The night I met Sierra is burned into my brain like a brand. Finn arranged it. Well, technically, he warned me not to go, which naturally made me go faster. I remember walking into the hotel lounge, dim lighting, velvet chairs, jazz playing softly, the clink of expensive glassware, and seeing her. Sitting like the room belonged to her. Back straight, legs crossed, fingers wrapped around a whiskey glass like she'd been born in a spy movie. She wore a black slip dress with a low back, diamonds at her ears, hair pulled into a sleek braid. Gorgeous in a way that made other women instantly suspicious. Not pretty, not cute. Dangerous beautiful. The kind of beautiful that destroys men and makes women question their own reflection. When her gaze lifted to mine, something inside me tightened. This wasn't just a mistress. This wasn't some influencer or gold digger or random fling. No. This woman had intention, purpose, a plan. She smiled slowly, deliberately, like she'd been expecting me. You must be Daniel's wife. Straight to the throat. And you must be Sierra, I said, sliding into the seat across from her. I've heard so much about you, mostly from his credit card statements. She laughed, a soft sound, melodic, but with an edge. He always was sloppy. Not sloppy, I corrected. Arrogant. Her eyes sparkled. You're smarter than he gives you credit for. I'm smarter than anyone gives me credit for, including you. She lifted her glass in a tiny salute. Fair enough.
We sat in quiet for a few seconds, assessing each other like two CEOs negotiating a hostile takeover. And then she said, "You're probably wondering what he's doing with me." "Yes," I said, "mostly because he's always claimed he had standards." Another smile, but this one didn't reach her eyes. "This isn't about romance, or lust, or love. It's about leverage." "On who?" I asked. Her gaze sharpened. "On your husband." Back in the kitchen, in the present, Daniel ran both hands through his hair, the same way he did whenever he was seconds away from panicking. "She told you?" he whispered. "She told you everything?" "Everything she wanted me to know," I corrected, which wasn't much, but it was enough. "You don't understand," he said, stepping forward, voice begging now. "Sierra isn't someone you just meet. You don't go to her. She comes to you when she wants something. You shouldn't have talked to her. She's—" "Save it," I cut in. "You're not protecting me from her. You're protecting yourself from me." "No," he said sharply. "You're in danger." "From who?" I asked. "From your girlfriend?" She's not my girlfriend." "Oh, right. She's your blackmailer with benefits." He flinched so hard I almost felt it. Bingo. "So," I said softly, "let's talk about what she has on you." He opened his mouth, closed it, swallowed. "It's complicated. Everything is complicated when you're guilty. Try anyway." He leaned against the counter, palms flat, head bowed like he was about to confess to a priest. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." "No," I said. "Affairs never start with meaning. They start with ego. It wasn't an affair." He snapped. "Not at first." "Then what was it? A mentorship program?" He glared at me. "Do you want the truth or do you want to make jokes?" "I want the truth wrapped in a joke so I don't hit you. Start talking." He inhaled deeply, eyes pinned shut. "I met her at a tech conference in Vegas 2 months ago. She was working as a consultant, private contracts, discrete partnerships. She offered to help me with an investment opportunity, something huge." "Huge enough to lie to your wife about?" "I wasn't lying at first. I just didn't tell you." "That's literally the definition of lying, Daniel." "Just listen," he said, voice cracking. "The opportunity she brought me was outside legal lines. Not by much, but enough to ruin me if it ever came out." My eyebrows lifted. "What kind of opportunity?" He shook his head. "I can't say." "You will. It's not safe." "Daniel," I said slowly, "you brought a criminal into our marriage and are now worried about my safety because I talked to her? Grow up." His jaw tightened. "You don't understand what she's capable of. She has connections, real ones, dangerous ones. People who can make someone disappear and turn it into a headline about a boating accident." "Cute," I said, "but I'm not scared of her." He stepped closer. "You should be." "Then explain why. Explain what she wants from you." Silence. His eyes filled with something I hadn't seen in years. Remorse. Real remorse. Or fear so deep it looked like remorse. "She wants money," he said softly. "A lot of it." "Of course she does. That's blackmail 101. What does she have on you?" "Photos. Emails. A recording." "Of you doing what?" His shoulders sagged. "Everything." I blinked. Define everything. He met my eyes, and for the first time, I saw the defeated man beneath the polished surface. "She recorded every meeting, every conversation, every kiss, every moment." I sucked in a slow breath. Not because I was shocked. Sierra looked like the type to record a toddler chewing just in case she could use it later. But because Daniel finally looked less like a cheating husband and more like a trapped animal. "How did you get involved in something so stupid?" I asked. "She targeted me," he said, voice trembling. "She knew exactly how to pull me in. She made me feel needed, impressive, like I mattered." "Oh, poor baby," I said dryly. A smart woman complimented you and suddenly you lost your entire moral compass? You don't get it, he whispered. She wasn't flirting at first. She was convincing me to invest. She said she could triple my money. I wanted to do something big, something that proved I wasn't just riding your success or my father's reputation. I blinked slowly. You risked our marriage because of insecurity? He flinched. I made a mistake. You made 17 mistakes and an entire Aspen itinerary. She said the trip would just be a meeting, one meeting, but when I got there, it was different. Different how? His chest rose and fell too fast. She threatened me, in subtle ways, not direct, but I could tell. And then things escalated. Meaning, he swallowed. Meaning she forced herself into my life. She made me go places with her, made me be seen with her. She said if I didn't play along, she'd release everything. Not just the affair photos, everything about the investment, the illegal part, the part that would get me put away. So you let her lead you around like a puppy. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You just never choose me. That landed. Hard. He looked like I'd physically hit him. I'm sorry, he whispered. I really am. Too late, I said. Apologies don't clean up arson. What do you want from me? He asked, voice breaking. The truth, I said simply. All of it, right now. He nodded shakily. Okay, fine. He took a breath, so deep it seemed to hurt him. Sierra isn't who she said.
When the video finally buffered, Daniel looked like he was bracing for a firing squad. I wasn't far behind. My pulse hammered against my ribs like it wanted out. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what appeared on the screen. The first frame showed a luxury hotel suite I didn't recognize. Thick velvet curtains, a marble fireplace, candles, and then the camera shifted, and there they were, Daniel and Sierra. Not kissing, not touching, sitting across from someone else. Someone who should have been thousands of miles away. Someone who had no business being anywhere near my husband. My brother. My older brother Ethan, wearing one of his trademark navy suits, hair slicked back, expression cool as ice, sitting casually across from Sierra like they were discussing real estate investments instead of blowing up my life. My stomach hit the floor so fast my knees almost buckled. What the hell? I whispered. My voice didn't even sound like me. Daniel closed his eyes like he'd been dreading this exact moment. I didn't know she had footage of Ethan, he said, voice low and shaky. I thought she only had me. Why is my brother here? I snapped. What is he doing with you, with her? Daniel swallowed so hard I heard it. On the screen, Ethan leaned back, legs crossed, expression unreadable. Sierra touched his arm like they were familiar. Too familiar. Why is my brother meeting with Sierra? I demanded again. Talk. Daniel pressed both hands to his face. I didn't want you to find out like this. Find out what? I shouted. What the hell is going on? He lowered his hands slowly, eyes bloodshot. Your brother, he's part of the deal. What deal? The investment deal Sierra pitched me. Ethan doesn't even work in tech, I yelled. He works in international finance. He laughed bitterly. Exactly. And Sierra isn't just some consultant. She's connected to people who want access to your father's old network. Ethan was the key. My brain spun. None of this made sense. All of it made sense, in the worst possible way. Start talking, I told him. From the beginning, every detail. Don't miss anything. Daniel sucked in a shaky breath. Okay, fine. Here's the truth. On the screen, Sierra poured Ethan a drink. He accepted it like they'd done it 100 times. It started 2 months ago, when I met Sierra in Vegas. She said she had a confidential proposal for me, something involving international transfers, crypto, and a private equity group overseas. Illegal, I muttered. Not at first, he said. Offshore investments. High-level stuff. Things people do every day. Rich people, I corrected. Naive rich people. He flinched.
I thought I was getting a cut of something huge, but then she mentioned she needed access to certain accounts connected to your father's old clients. My blood froze. My father. The man who had built a massive financial empire before dying suddenly 2 years ago. The man whose secrets were probably buried with him. My father had nothing to do with this, I said. Actually, he did, Daniel whispered. Not directly, but the contacts he left behind, the network, Sierra knew you were the key to accessing them. Me? She targeted you, through me. I stared at him horrified. How? He said, by using someone close to you, someone who already had access, someone trusted. Ethan, I whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. Your brother was involved with Sierra long before I was. My chest tightened. Explain. Sierra approached him first, months ago. She used the same tactics, charm, promises, pressure. But Ethan, he didn't resist. He saw opportunity, he saw power, and once he was in, he dragged me into it. I grabbed the counter to steady myself. Ethan, my brother, my blood, the man I trusted more than almost anyone. So you and my brother were working with her? No, Daniel said quickly. I didn't know he was involved when I met her. She didn't tell me. She kept us separate at first. It wasn't until Aspen that I realized she'd orchestrated everything. I replayed the video in my mind. Ethan sitting comfortably, Sierra leaning in, Daniel looking miserable. What were you discussing in the video? She was giving us instructions, Daniel said, voice cracking. She wanted us to move money, clean it, transfer it. She said if we didn't, she'd release the recordings. And Ethan agreed? Ethan already did it, Daniel whispered. He was deeper in than I was, and he told me if I didn't cooperate, he'd make sure your entire family believed I was the criminal. He said you'd leave me, that I'd lose everything. My head pounded, vision blurry. My brother threatened you? Daniel nodded. I felt sick. So the two of you went to Aspen to what? Finalize it? She said it needed to look consensual. She needed photos of us together, videos, proof, insurance. Insurance for what? He looked at me, eyes haunted. To make sure we obeyed. My breath hitched. So the luxury escape wasn't a romantic getaway. It was a trap. A beautifully wrapped one, with champagne and massages and cameras everywhere. The video ended abruptly, Sierra's voice echoing through the room. I hope you boys behave. Otherwise, I'll have to involve your sweet wife. My name wasn't spoken, but the implication was loud as hell. She used me, I whispered. She used my family. And now she's using both of us, Daniel said. That's why you can't go near her again. You have to stay away. Too late, I said softly. I already told you. We talked. Daniel's eyes went wide. What did you tell her? Nothing, I replied. I let her talk. I wanted to see what she'd reveal. And what did she say? I swallowed hard. That you were just the beginning. Daniel froze. What does that mean? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed this time. A text. Unknown number. 3 words. Check your email. My heart plummeted. I opened my inbox. A new message sat at the top. No subject line, just a single attachment. A document. Password protected, but the preview alone made my throat close. A full financial dossier on me. My accounts, my company, my trust fund, my personal assets, all mapped out, every dollar, every weakness, every vulnerability. Daniel paled as he read over my shoulder. She hacked you. I exhaled shakily. No. My voice trembled. My brother did. And then my phone buzzed again. This time, a second message. A photo, a location, and 3 chilling words. Come alone tonight. Daniel grabbed the phone out of my hand. Absolutely not. But I already felt it. That cold, sharp knowing Sierra wasn't summoning me for Daniel. She wasn't summoning me for money. She wanted me. She wanted something I had, something Ethan couldn't give her, something I didn't even know she knew about. She's not done, I whispered. Not even close. Daniel gripped my arm. Baby, don't do this. The word baby didn't land the way he intended. It landed like a plea, a warning, a prophecy. I pulled my arm back. "I'm going," I said, "and you're staying here. If you walk out that door, she wins." "No," I replied. "If I walk out that door, she finally shows her hand." I grabbed my coat, my keys, my phone, and as I headed for the elevator, Daniel said one more thing. "You have no idea what she really wants from you." I didn't look back. "You're wrong," I said. "I think I finally do." The elevator doors closed between us, sealing his panic behind steel. I exhaled once, steady, controlled, a woman preparing for war. But as soon as I reached the parking garage, my phone buzzed yet again. Another message, another attachment, a photo so personal, so intimate, so impossible, my entire body went cold. It wasn't of Daniel. It wasn't of Ethan. It wasn't Sierra. It was me, as a child, in a place I didn't remember, standing beside someone I definitely did, someone who shouldn't be alive, and beneath the photo, a single line that shattered the ground beneath me. "It's time you learned the truth about your father."
I didn't sleep the night after I found the truth about the resort, the second villa, and the mysterious +1 my husband claimed never existed. My brain felt like it had swallowed a blender, every thought sharp, spinning, dangerous. I sat in the living room wrapped in a throw blanket that cost more than my first car, staring through the floor-to-ceiling windows at a Los Angeles skyline that didn't know my marriage was breaking. At 5 a.m., I texted Mason. "Come home. We're done playing games." He didn't reply, of course. Men like him don't reply until it's convenient for them. The sun wasn't even fully up when I made coffee, strong enough to melt paint, because I knew today was the day everything cracked open. Either he'd tell the truth, or I'd drag it out of him with evidence so sharp it could slice marble. And I had plenty. I had the resort manager's voice message admitting the guest list shows a second occupant. I had screenshots from his second phone, the one he forgot was synced to our cloud. I had the receipts, literal and emotional. And honestly, I had the rage of every wife who'd ever been underestimated, talked over, lied to, gaslit, or told she was overthinking. Rage is gasoline. Truth is the match. I was ready to burn everything down. At exactly 8:12 a.m., he walked in. Same smug smile, same swagger, same cologne that smelled like citrus and betrayal. "Morning, babe," he said, dropping his keys like he was returning from a grocery run. "We still doing breakfast, or—" "Who was she?" I asked, calmly. That wiped the smile off his face just like before, just like the moment this entire storm started. But now the question carried the weight of proof. Mason froze. His whole face rearranged into that defensive, annoyed expression men get when they've been caught but think they can still wiggle out. "You're still on that?" he groaned, rubbing his forehead dramatically. "Jesus, you're exhausting, Lena." "Her name," I repeated. "Say it." He scoffed. "You're being insane. You're piecing together things that aren't even— I have the guest records, Mason." That made him blink. Once, twice, then his jaw clenched like concrete drying. I walked closer, keeping my voice steady. "Your private villa had 2 guests checked in under your room. The manager confirmed it. So unless a ghost went with you, or unless you suddenly became bilingual and booked yourself under 2 different names, stop lying." His face twisted. "I didn't cheat." "Then who was she?" He swallowed hard. A muscle jumped in his cheek. "It wasn't like that." "So there is a her." He looked away. That was all the confirmation I needed. My heart dropped, but it didn't shatter this time. You can only break me once. After that, every fracture becomes armor. "Say her name," I whispered. He didn't. Instead, he muttered, "You weren't supposed to find out." That sentence, that was worse than a confession, because it meant everything he'd said, the tears, the defensiveness, the fake apology, wasn't about hurting me. It was about getting caught. I nodded slowly. "Okay, then let's talk." He laughed sharply. "Talk?
About what? Us? This marriage? Lena, you're acting like a frickin' detective in a crime show. Oh, I'm way past detective, I said, heading toward the kitchen. I'm the prosecutor now. His eyes followed me as I opened the laptop on the marble island and pulled up the files. Screenshots, records, the voice message, the photos, the synced messages where he sent someone flight confirmations, and pack light. I already stocked the villa with everything you like. That's photoshopped, he said too fast. You think I don't know what your lies sound like? He slammed his hands on the counter. Can you stop? Damn. I told you nothing happened. You told her to pack light. Look, it wasn't cheating, okay? Not technically. There is no technically in cheating, Mason. We didn't sleep together. But you planned a luxury getaway with her, a secret one, a private villa, a retreat. It wasn't romantic. Then why hide it? His mouth opened. No sound came out. I stared at him, feeling something inside me shift. Break, rebuild, harden. Here's what I think, I said softly. I think you liked playing husband of the year while having someone on the side you could escape with when being married felt too inconvenient. Damn it, Lena. I think you loved the image of us more than the reality of me. He didn't deny that. He couldn't, because it was true. And he knew it. You're dramatic, he muttered. You always blow things out of proportion. And that was it. The final nail. Not the lie, not the cheating, not the cover-up. The audacity to call me dramatic for reacting to his betrayal. My voice turned cold. Sit down, Mason. Why? Because this is the part where things stop going your way. He chuckled bitterly, but sat anyway. I reached into the drawer and pulled out the thick envelope I'd prepared the night before. Divorce papers. His entire face strained. Lena, no, this is insane. No, insane was me spending years believing you were loyal. We can work through this. You already worked through someone else. I didn't sleep with her. Say her name, I said again. If she meant nothing, say her name. He slammed his fist against the table. Stop asking. Why? He was breathing heavily now, chest rising and falling. Because it doesn't matter, he whispered. It matters to me. His voice cracked. Her name is Tara. The room dropped to absolute silence. I felt the truth settle in my bones. Heavy, cold, final. How long? A few months? Did you love her? No, he yelled too quickly. She listened. I swear the air punched out of my lungs. Wow, I whispered. So I'm not quiet enough for you? Not soft enough? Not obedient enough? You twist everything. You cheat on everything. He slammed up suddenly, pacing, dragging his hands through his hair. I didn't cheat, not physically. Sometimes I needed space, Lena. You're intense. You're always asking questions, always wanting to talk about feelings, always communicating. Whatever. I laughed, but it wasn't funny. Do you know what's sad? He stopped pacing. You think what you did is better than actual cheating. You think emotional betrayal is somehow less cruel. It is less cruel, he snapped. Physical is actual cheating. Emotional is intent, planning, effort, care, hiding, choosing someone else to confide in, choosing someone else to escape with, choosing someone else over me. His jaw dropped slightly. He wasn't expecting me to know the psychology of betrayal, but being married to a liar turns you into a researcher real fast. I'll sign whatever you want, he finally muttered. Just don't ruin me publicly. That's what he cared about. His image, his perfect life, his reputation. Not us, not me, not the vows, just the optics. You already ruined yourself. Then I reached into the same envelope and slid one more document across the table. His eyes widened. What's this? The prenup you forgot existed. Lena, no, come on. We signed it before.
3 days after I left Mason, I was still learning how to breathe again. It was weird. Every breath felt like it belonged to someone else, like I'd borrowed air after drowning for years without knowing it. I was staying at my sister Emily's place in Pasadena, living out of a suitcase, hiding in her guest room that smelled like lavender and dog treats. She tried to keep things normal. She brought me coffee every morning. She pushed me to eat. She left little notes that said things like, "You did the right thing," and "He doesn't deserve you," and "Your face is too pretty to cry this much." But every night when the house got quiet, the questions crawled back into my chest. How long had he been planning the escape? What else hadn't he told me? What was the real reason he chose her? And why the hell did I still feel the ghost of someone touching my life who no longer had the right to? On the fourth morning, around 9 a.m., the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Emily wasn't home. Instinct kicked in. My stomach tightened, my fingers curled, my heartbeat thudded in my ears. People don't show up at your door unannounced with good news. I opened the door slowly. A woman stood there, mid-30s, petite, dark hair pulled into a tight bun, wearing a navy blue blazer like she came straight from a law office, eyes sharp, lips pressed thin. She looked like the human version of a warning label. "Lena?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but heavy, like she wasn't here to chat. "Yes?" "My name is Olivia Hale." She paused. I'm here about your husband." My stomach dropped through the floor. "Ex-husband," I corrected automatically. "We're divorcing." She swallowed. I'm sorry, but this isn't about the divorce." "Then what is it?" She hesitated. "Can I come in?" And that right there, that's the kind of sentence that only delivers two types of news: the kind that ruins you, or the kind that rewrites everything. Against every instinct I had, I stepped aside and let her in. She walked to the dining table like she'd been rehearsing this moment. She wasn't nervous, not exactly. She looked like someone carrying a truth so heavy she was scared it might break open if she didn't handle it gently. "Before I tell you anything," she said, "I need you to understand something." "Okay?" "I didn't come here to hurt you. I came because you deserve to know the truth about what was really happening." My pulse kicked into a sprint. "The truth about what?" Olivia exhaled. Then she reached into her bag and placed a small leather wallet on the table. I frowned. "Whose is that?" "Your husband's," she said quietly. "He left it at my office 2 days ago." "Your office?" "Yes." She looked me dead in the eyes. "I'm his therapist." My throat tightened. "Mason doesn't have a therapist." "He didn't," she said softly. "Not until 6 months ago." My heart stalled. 6 months. That's when his behavior changed, when he started working late, when he suddenly had business trips, when he downloaded a second phone app for work contacts, when he became distant, hostile, secretive, when the luxury escape planning started. "Why didn't he tell me?" I whispered. "Because he didn't want you to know what he was spiraling into." My hands went cold. Spiraling into what? Olivia pulled out a folded sheet of paper. "Notes." Her handwriting. "Your husband came to me because he was afraid he was losing control of his life, his business, his marriage, his mental state." The room tilted. Mental state? He was having severe panic attacks, mood swings, insomnia, episodes of paranoia. He said he felt like he was two people, and he didn't know which one was the real him anymore. I blinked hard, trying to piece the puzzle together. "So, he cheated because
He was stressed? No, I'm not excusing his behavior. He was selfish, he was reckless, and he lied to both of us. Both of us. The phrase hit weird. What do you mean by both of us? Olivia looked away for a moment before answering. He lied to me about going on that trip alone. He didn't tell me there was another woman involved. I felt sick. So, he was cheating on me and lying to his therapist at the same time? Yes, she said quietly. But that's not the whole truth. My voice tightened. Then what is? Olivia clasped her hands together. The luxury retreat wasn't a vacation. It was a treatment center. I froze. A what? A mental wellness resort. High-end, discreet. They specialize in burnout, identity crisis, addiction, trauma processing, executive dysfunction. Things that high-power clients don't want the world to know about. My ears rang. He told me it was a business escape. It wasn't, she said. It was my recommendation. I told him he needed intensive clinical supervision for a week.
The days after Olivia left blurred together. I stayed in Emily's guest room, avoiding my phone, ignoring emails, and drinking coffee black enough to melt steel. Every morning I woke up feeling like a ghost of the person I'd been, like the life I thought I had was buried under a pile of lies. But there was one thing I refused to bury: the truth. I needed answers, not just from Mason, not just from Ethan, not just from Tara or Olivia. Every thread of deception needed to unravel, and I knew exactly where to start. It started with Mason. I didn't call, I didn't text, I didn't email. I waited for him to come to me, because even broken men eventually realize the consequences of their lies. But he didn't. Instead, I sent a message through Olivia. Meet me at the penthouse tonight. I want answers, and I don't want excuses. I didn't wait for a reply. I already knew he'd come. The truth has a magnetic pull. Sometimes it terrifies you, sometimes it heals you, and sometimes it burns everything in its path. That evening, I arrived at the penthouse first. The city glowed below, skyscrapers like shards of crystal, traffic moving like slow rivers of light. I poured a glass of wine, Cabernet, bold, full-bodied, and waited. My reflection in the window stared back at me. Sharp cheekbones, tired hazel eyes, hair tousled just enough to suggest I'd survived a storm. And I had. When Mason finally arrived, I didn't move. He didn't knock. He didn't hesitate. He opened the door like someone walking into the gallows. His eyes were red, his collar slightly wrinkled, and for the first time, the arrogance was gone, replaced by fear, real fear. Not fear of me, but fear of the truth finally surfacing. He swallowed. "Lena." His voice cracked. I held up a hand. "Don't start. Don't say anything. Not yet." I poured him a glass of wine. He stared at it like I'd handed him poison. I didn't know you'd—" "Sit down," I said. He sat. The room was heavy with silence, with unspoken accusations, with all the nights I'd wondered what he was doing while pretending to be busy. I let the silence stretch, let it settle, let it suffocate. Then I began. "Tell me everything, Mason. Every secret, every lie, every reason you thought hiding things from me was better than telling me the truth." He exhaled, long and shaky. "You don't even know half of it," he whispered. "Oh, I'll find out," I said softly, leaning against the kitchen counter. "Because I always do." He finally looked at me, and the walls he'd built around himself began to crumble. "The retreat wasn't just a retreat," he admitted. "Tara, my sister, she's dying, yes. But there's more. Her condition, her illness, it's genetic. There's a history in our family.
Something our father hid. Something he never told me. She's sick, yes. But she didn't just want comfort. She wanted answers. And the retreat? I was trying to help her find those answers. I frowned. Answers? What kind of answers could justify months of lies, secrecy, almost destroying us? Don't interrupt, he said sharply, but his voice lacked its usual arrogance. You wouldn't understand. You don't know the history between Tara and me. She was always fragile, always hidden in the background. Our father, he covered things up, told us nothing. She found out some things that scared her, things she thought would destroy her if she ever shared them. She didn't want to live knowing certain truths, but she also couldn't die without making sure someone else knew. That someone else was me. I felt the walls of my mind start to collapse. My pulse hammered against my ears. So you chose to lie to me because you were protecting her? Protecting yourself? He nodded. Both. And I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to tell you. And then I got sucked into the blackmail thing. That was Sierra. She manipulated me. She knew everything about me, about us, about the family network. She twisted it so I was trapped. I didn't cheat emotionally, not with her, but I was trapped in lies and deception. I stared at him. My chest felt tight. Part of me wanted to scream. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to collapse on the floor and cry for days. So everything, the Aspen trip, the villa, the hidden flights, the messages, none of that was romance? None, he said, eyes wide and desperate. It was survival. It was fear. It was chaos. And I failed. The wine burned my throat as I swallowed, but it didn't calm me. You failed. Spectacularly. But do you know what hurts most? He shook his head. You don't trust me anymore. Not for a second. Every moment we had, now there's a shadow over it. I don't trust you because you kept me in the dark. Not because you loved your sister, not because you were scared. You kept me in the dark, and that changes everything. He looked down, defeated. I know. I can't undo it. I can't take back the lies. I can't fix what I broke. I let the words sink into the room. They lingered, heavy and suffocating. But then I realized something. The story wasn't over. It wasn't finished. It never would be until Mason and I both faced the truth, until the past was revealed and the secrets were dealt with. We have to confront them, I said suddenly. All of them. Tara, Ethan, even Olivia. We can't move forward with shadows hanging over us. He flinched. That's dangerous. Yeah, but so was everything you did while pretending to be okay. It's time someone paid attention to the truth. That night, we drove out to the retreat. The roads were quiet, slick with city lights reflecting off wet asphalt. I sat in the passenger seat, seatbelt tight, fingers curled in my lap. Mason was silent. For the first time, he didn't pretend. There was no